Good evening. I'll now call to order the City County Council meeting for Monday, March the 7th, 2022. And we will begin our meeting with the prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Larison.
Thank you, Mr. President. With your permission, I'd like to invite a guest to provide the invocation. Our city depends on our many synagogues, mosques, temples, and churches to care for our community's mind, body, and soul. In District 12 on Indy's east side, we are lucky to have so many partners. One such partner is Downey Avenue Christian Church. Downey Avenue Christian Church is an open-minded, intergenerational congregation with a shared commitment to work for social justice, care for creation, and celebrate the rich diversity of God's people. Their shared mission is to be transformed by God's radical love to build a welcoming church, a just community, and a sustainable world. They have served the Irvington community since 1875, continually finding new ways to respond to a witness of social justice and compassion in our community and around the world. Downey Avenue Christian Church is led by Reverend Melody Merida. While Reverend Merida was recently installed as senior pastor at Downey Avenue, she has been on staff since 2017. A mother or two, she has resided in the Irvington area since 2009. So please welcome Reverend Merida. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to represent the community of Downey Avenue Christian Church this evening. Let us be in prayer together, friends. Good and loving God, as we gather in the safety of this community space, we are ever mindful of the people all around this world whose spaces are anything but safe. Our prayers are with our neighbors in war zones. Our hearts are united with theirs for peace in all our lands. As citizens of this shared earth, we grieve as one the injustice of war, and we decry acts of violence that plague our neighborhoods, both near and far. Tonight, as this collected group of citizens gather to do the work of the people in the city of Indianapolis, we pray that they will be empowered to be bearers of hope in the most hopeless places within our community. May you give them a sharpened vision toward an equitable, sustainable, and just way of leading this city in which none are left behind in the name of progress. Today, we are reminded that we tread the path toward your beloved community together. We are challenged to dream together of what could be, and we are encouraged to remember that your unparalleled love makes all things possible. These times are indeed unprecedented and unpredictable. They call for wise and insightful leadership. We ask that you imbue these leaders with your holy wisdom to know when to act boldly with courage and when to show measured restraint for the good of our city and her citizens. Bless their work and the people they serve in this safe space. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilors, please select your green button to indicate your attendance. There are 24 councilors present. Councilor Carlino has asked to be excused for this evening. We have no guests this evening who are already not part of the agenda, so we'll proceed to the next item on the agenda, which is official communications. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, you are hereby notified that regular meetings of the City County Council, the Police, Fire, and Solid Waste Collection Special Service District Councils will be held in the City County Building in the Council Chambers on Monday, March 7th, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. The purposes of such meetings being to conduct any and all business that may properly come before regular meetings of the councils. Sincerely, Bob Osley, President, City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana, our calls to be published in the Court and Commercial Record and in the Indianapolis Star on Friday, February 18, 2022, a copy of a notice of public hearing on proposal numbers 7 and 8, 2022, said hearing to be held on Monday, March 7, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. in the Public Assembly Room of the City County Building, and a copy of a notice of public hearing on proposal numbers 53 and 55, 2022, said hearing to be held at a meeting of the Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee on Tuesday, March 1st, 2022 at 5 o'clock p.m. in the Public Assembly Room of the City County Building. Respectfully, Sarita Hughes, Clerk of the City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana, our calls to be published in the Court and Commercial Record and in the Indianapolis Star on Friday, March 4th, 2022, a copy of a notice of public hearing on proposal number 92, 2022, said hearing to be held at a meeting of the Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee on Monday, March 14th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. in the Public Assembly Room of the City County Building. Respectfully, Sarita Hughes, Clerk of the City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, I have approved with my signature and delivered this day to the Clerk of the City County Council, Sarita Hughes, the following ordinances. General Ordinance numbers 3 through 10, Special Resolution numbers 5 through 7. Joseph H. Hogsett, Mayor. Mr. President, this concludes the official communications.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have consent? Consent. This next item on our agenda is approval of journals for February the 7th, 2022. Do I have consent? Consent. We'll now proceed to presentation of petitions, memorials, and special resolutions. And this first item on our agenda is proposal number 104, which recognizes March 2022 as Disabilities Awareness Month in Indianapolis.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is City County Special Resolution number 8, 2022, a special resolution recognizing March 2022 as Disabilities Awareness Month in Indianapolis. Whereas on February 26, 1987, President Ronald Reagan officially declared March National Disabilities Awareness Month. And whereas,
the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law on July 26, 1990, which ensures and upholds civil rights, providing access and opportunity to live, work, and enjoy all aspects of community living for our peers with disabilities. And whereas, as of 2019, the CDC reported over 60 million Americans living with disabilities. People with disabilities are the largest minority group in the United States and include a group of richly diverse people from all different walks of life. And
whereas people with disabilities are an asset and valued members of the community, and our communities are at their best when full inclusion and integration is realized, providing access and opportunities for economic mobility, equitable education, and barrier-free access to community participation and resources. And whereas in April 2013, the Council unanimously adopted General Ordinance number 11, 2013, which implemented the Disability-Owned Business Enterprise Program in collaboration with the Office of Disability Affairs, and made recommendations for improving the utilization of disability-owned businesses as service providers and suppliers throughout the city and county government. And
whereas the Mayor and the City Office of Disability Affairs is planning to honor National Disability Awareness Month with one, restructuring of the Access and Inclusion Awards. 2, by highlighting the work of individuals and organizations leading and championing access and inclusion for the disability community. 3, by highlighting work in the areas of employment, accessibility, and service to keep inclusion at the forefront throughout the year. And whereas, although the council encouraged individuals, businesses, and organizations to celebrate inclusion for individuals with disabilities at all times, throughout the entire year, March 2022 awareness designation seeks to shine a spotlight and provide education as to how inclusion can truly happen across the city. Now, therefore,
be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and of Marion County, Indiana, Section 1, the Indianapolis City County Council proudly recognizes March 2022 as Disabilities Awareness Month in Indianapolis and encourages all individuals to champion inclusion, collaboration, and acceptance for all people within our community. Section 2, the Council further encourages all individuals, departments, agencies, and organizations to observe the month of March with the appropriate observances and activities directed toward increasing public awareness of the contributions and the potential of Americans with disabilities. And, Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Back to the speakers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Did you want to say anything? Wrap this up. Thank you, Mr. President. Did you have somebody want to take this? Sure.
Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 105, which recognizes the life and legacy of Maurice Young in bringing hope to the homeless.
Good evening. A special resolution recognizing the life and legacy of Maurice Young in bringing hope to the homeless. Whereas in 2021, sporting dreadlocks, a beard, and modest clothing, the once stylish dressed homecoming king and ECG dance team member, Maurice Young, might not have been recognizable to any of his former 1986 classmates at Northwest High School, but he was affectionately well known on the streets as the mayor of Irish Hill, a homeless encampment just south of downtown Indianapolis. And oh, sorry, sorry.
Come on, dude. Go ahead.
All right.
whereas for Young, his most transformative years seemed to come after 2011, when he reset his life path and became actively homeless, checking into a homeless shelter and dedicating the rest of his days to advocating for the homeless population of Indianapolis. And whereas Irish Hill is just one of the many homeless encampments throughout the city, and Mr. Young worked diligently to see that the needs were met and resources were provided to those living in these camps, including calling meal providers and other charitable organizations to schedule outreach visits, setting up a library and learning center, planning cookouts and block parties, and a community table where camp residents who missed a meal could find something to eat, as well as setting up semi-regular office hours at libraries to help homeless individuals register online for health care and or other services. And
whereas Maurice Young did not just talk the talk, but he walked the walk, living amongst his brothers and sisters and fighting for their constitutional rights, even being arrested in 2013 for refusing to leave the encampment when it was being shut down, and being named as a plaintiff in a class action rights violation suit filed in 2017 by the ACLU of Indiana. After street sweeps removed the homeless from their overpasses and bridges, and whereas Young often spoke up when traditional social services and the system were not meeting the needs of his homeless neighbors, starting conversations about how the city and service providers could serve them better. He was featured in 2 separate award-winning documentaries, a short 12-minute film called The Advocate, focusing on Young's conscious decision to become homeless, and a full-length film documenting the experience of those living at the Davidson Street camp called Under the Bridge, the criminalization of homelessness. And whereas helping and championing others, no matter their situation, was a way of life for Mr. Young because he believed everybody deserved a chance. He was asked by an adjunct professor for several years to speak to students at IUPUI in classes focusing on social work, helping them with tutoring, group projects, and even a mini internship. At a 2015 TEDx talk in Indianapolis explaining what motivated him to serve the homeless community, Mr. Young quoted writer Mark Twain, "The 2 most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you know why." And whereas
sadly, at only 53 years of age, Maurice Young passed away quietly from this life on January 31st, 2022, at the Wheeler Missions Men's Shelter. His family and friends hope that Maurice's life will call people to action in serving all members of their community. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and of Marion County, Indiana. Section 1, the Indianapolis City County Council proudly recognizes the life and legacy of Maurice Young in bringing hope to the homeless. Section 2, the council further encourages all individuals to find ways to serve their community and champion those who need a helping hand. Section 3, the mayor is invited to join in this resolution by affixing his signature hereto. Section 4, this resolution shall be in full force and effect upon adoption and compliance with IC 36-3-4-14. This special resolution was sponsored by Councilors Jones, Ethan Evans, Graves, Larison, Boots, Carlino, Jared Evans, Hart, Barth, Brown, Oliver, and President Osley. It was passed by the City Council on the 7th day of March, 2022. And Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Back to the speakers.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing this important moment, and I really appreciate Mr. Young's family being with us today. And one thing I'd like to say before Mr. President, if his family can have a few words. A friend shared with me today that I don't think will really fully understand the impact that Mr. Young had. She shared with me that a class at Marion University studied Mr. Young last semester and gave a task to his English class that they were to write about the impact that they might have based on his example. So to his family, I just want to extend my condolences to you, and that long after, today, his legacy lives on. And thank you for sharing him with us in the city of Indianapolis.
Thank you. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Christina Stovall, and this is my son, Elijah Kirksey. I am Maurice's youngest sibling. Maurice was my big brother, and he meant the world to me. He was my protector. He was my friend. He was the best storyteller, dancer, and best listener of all time. He always lent an ear when people needed him. Here are a few more words to describe Maurice. M, memorable, mentor, master of minister, mayor.
A, affable, accommodating, authentic, advocate, achiever.
U, unique, useful, unafraid, understanding.
R, rare, risk taker, responsible, and respectful.
I, intelligent, incredible, influential, inspirational, incredible, again, sorry.
C, caring, composed, civilized, clever, and carefree.
E, encouraging, educated. This would have tickled him. I can hear his voice now, laughing. He will be happy. We respected him, we love him, and we will miss him. We want to thank the City Council for inviting us here today and for recognizing Maurice and his life's work with such an honor. For this resolution. We would like to invite the City Council, the City County Council, Mayor, Governor, and public to his memorial service on Sunday, March 20th at noon, where Maurice will lie in state at the State House at 200 West Washington Street. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Don Reed, and I want to thank the City Council and especially Kristen Jones for this presentation. Maurice was a friend of mine. I spent every Wednesday at the library with him, and then we had many meals afterwards. And I will say this about Maurice that you can't say about a lot of people. He had charisma. When he walked in the room, you knew that he was somebody special. I loved him. His laugh and smile was infectious. And I want to thank the family. He was a great man, and I'm just blessed to know that I have known him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, folks. My name is Mike. I've been a friend of Maurice for about 15 years. I just want to say the one thing I loved about Maurice more than anything was the reverence and respect that he showed to every man and woman that ever came to him in some kind of need or some kind of pain. I watched him very closely, and I never saw him miss a beat on that. The respect that he had for another person, it just stood out. The gentleness and the individual care that each person got. If you stayed at the camp, he would not just tell you, go over there and sleep. He'd set up your tent for you. I don't know where he learned that, I suppose from his mother or somewhere like that. But he was truly, that's what I loved him for. He could get cross-eyed with anybody about anything. And his friends and his foes, to their chagrin. But when it came back to just caring for people, he was always there. I must admit, while I'm standing in front of this august body, that the greatest fear I ever had for Maurice was that he might run for city county council and win. And I said, I pray, I'm so grateful, I really mean that he got started at Wheeler Mission and that he died there. He fought the course, he stayed the course. And I love him for that and his craziness. Maurice, you are crazy. Love you.
Surprise, everybody. Maurice was my friend. We have been friends since high school at Northwest High School. We got reacquainted in 1990 when we were working at GTE. Maurice was a good guy. He was my little brother and my best friend. He liked to travel. He loved the children. He ran a summer camp for like 3 years with no pay at Seventh-day Adventist. My friend, I have not seen him. I'm sorry. I have not seen my friend since 2011. At that time, I was sick, and he gave me some advice. I didn't take his advice, I should have, about my situation. And I would see him at the library, helping everybody at the library. A lot of people know Maurice with the long beard. But I remember my friend tall and handsome without a beard. He was the best person. He was the best person. And how did all you all, because I haven't seen you all either, except for Duke and Bob and Zach. But thank you so much for praising my friend, because he was a good guy. My daughters loved him. That was their uncle. And they really upset that he's gone. Please pray for him and his family. See y'all later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, councilors. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 125, which condemns the Russian invasion of Ukraine and urges steadfast support for the Ukrainian people.
Thank you, Mr. President. Been a lot of information about the current affairs, what this special resolution is about, so it's rather timely and tragic at the same time. This is City County Special Resolution number 10, 2022, a special resolution condemning the Russian invasion of the Ukraine and urging steadfast support for the Ukrainian people. Whereas, in keeping with the national and international law, the Council fully affirms the right of all countries to decide their own future, foreign policy, and security arrangements free from outside interference or coercion. And whereas, on February 24th, 2022, Russian Federation forces launched an unprovoked, full-scale invasion on the sovereign and peaceful nation of Ukraine. And whereas,
Reuters News Service has reported that since the launch of the invasion, Russian Federation forces have targeted civilians and have committed war crimes and crimes against humanity. And whereas the International Committee of the Red Cross report devastating scenes of human suffering across the Ukraine in recent days, including hundreds of thousands of civilians trapped by Russian shelling in cities like Mariupol, now in its 6th day with no running water, no power, and no sanitation. And whereas the World Health Organization has said health facilities inside Ukraine are being attacked, supporting the accounts and Ukrainian officials who say the Russian Federation is striking civilian targets around the country, including hospitals, nurseries, and schools. And whereas,
on March 6, 2022, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees noted that 1.5 million people have crossed into neighborhood countries in just 10 days and described the situation as the fastest growing refugee crisis in Europe since the Second World War. And whereas the same agency has stated that the official total of 1,123 verified civilian casualties, most caused shelling from heavy artillery and multi-launch rocket systems, missiles, and airstrikes, is likely to be a considerable underestimate of the true numbers. Now, therefore,
be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and of Marion County, Indiana, Section 1, this council unequivocally supports the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine and stands steadfastly, staunchly, and proudly behind the Ukrainian people in their fight against authoritarianism and the violent aggression of the Russian Federation. Section 2, The Council joins the United States government and the leaders and civilians of democratic societies around the globe in demanding that the Russian Federation immediately cease its unlawful use of force against Ukraine and refrain from any further threat or use of force against any other nation.
Section 3. The Council likewise urges an immediate ceasefire and suspension of this unprovoked attack on the nation of Ukraine and calls on global leaders to work with all due haste toward a peaceful resolution of Russian Federation aggression. And Section 4, the Council calls on all parties to facilitate a safe and unfettered passage to destinations outside of Ukraine for all citizens, rapid and unhindered access to those in need of assistance inside the country, and protections for the civilians and medical and humanitarian workers. Section 5, the Council further calls on all parties to fully comply with their obligations under international humanitarian law to spare the civilian population and infrastructure. Section 6, the Council offers its gratitude to the thousands of Indianapolis residents who have expressed their support for the people of Ukraine through donations, demonstrations, and prayers. And, Mr. President, I so move.
Second. Motion's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And back to the speakers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing else.
Thank you very much. Thank you, councilors. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 351, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 351, 2021 appoints Anthony Murdoch to the Indianapolis Community Food Access Advisory Commission. Mr. Murdoch said he's a Jewish doctorate candidate at the IU McKinney School of Law and a small business owner. Councilor Oliver moved, seconded by Councilor Muscari, to send proposal 351 to the full council. They do pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 36, referred to Municipal Corporations Committee. Chairman Gray.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The Municipal Corporation Committee met Thursday, February 9th, 2022, in the Public Assembly Room. Chairman Monroe Gray called the meeting to order at 5:31 with the following members present: Councilor Bain, Councilor Brown, Councilor Evans, Councilor Graves, Councilor Hart, Councilor Mascari. Councilor Murray was absent. Chairman Gray stated that even though neither person to be reappointed was present, he will go ahead and entertain a vote in their absence. Proposal number 36, 2022, reappoints Leader Maggie Lewis to the Capital Improvement Board of Managers. Councilor Mascarity moved, second by Councilor Evans, to send proposal number 36 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion was carried by a vote to 7-0, and I so move, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 73, referred to Municipal Corporations Committee. Chairman Gray.
Proposal number 73, 2022, reappoints Reverend J.T. Robinson to the Indianapolis Public Library Board of Trustees. Councilor Bain stated that given the volatility that has been going on at the Indianapolis Public Library, he thought it would have been nice to have Reverend Robinson present to give his perspective on it. Chair Gray stated that he also wished Reverend Robinson was present to give his insight to what is going on at the library. He stated that maybe they can get him to come before the committee later in the year. Councilor Mascarity moved, second by Councilor Gray, to send proposal 73, 2022, to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote 7-0. I so move.
Motions are properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, President. Is Reverend Robinson here today or here tonight to answer a question?
No, I do not believe so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 37, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. With consent, I would like to take proposal number 37, 38, 40, 41, 43, 44, 45, 47, 48, 49, 74, 76, and 77. Thank you. Proposal number 37 reappoints Elizabeth Ellis to the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 38 reappoints Brandon Fishburne to the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 40 appoints Jane Henniger to the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 41 appoints Lana Cosby Jones to the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 43 reappoints Michael Halstead to the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 44 reappoints Trinity Hart to the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 45 reappoints Linda Osborne to the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 47 appoints Peggy Frame to the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 48 appoints Kelly Murgo to the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 49 appoints Michael Tabb to the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 74 reappoints Belinda Drake to the Board of Business and Neighborhood Services. Proposal number 76 reappoints Brian Barton to the Marion County Property Tax Board of Appeals. Proposal number 77 reappoints Kathy Good to the Marion County Property Tax Board of Appeals. The proposals passed out of committee by a vote of 10-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 79, referred to Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairman Oliver.
Thank you. Proposal number 79, 2022, appoints Janice Golsom Dunlap to the Indianapolis Greenways Development Committee. Councilor Potts moved, seconded by Councilor Jones, to send proposal number 79, 2022, to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 8-0. Sorry, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed. Chairman Oliver.
Yes, Mr. President and fellow councilors, I just want to acknowledge what happened at that committee. I decided to move it out to a site. I want to do that in the future all across our great city. We have lots of great parks, and we want to showcase them. And I want to thank Councilor Arnett out there at the Perry Meridian Center out there where the ice skating was at. It was a beautiful thing, Mr. President and fellow councilors, and I invite you all to visit our wonderful park centers, and particularly one on Ferry and the one in Lawrence and Center, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 81, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 81 was heard on 2/22 of 22. It reappoints Barbara Howard to the Alcoholic Beverage Board of Marion County. passed out of committee 12-0. I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 82, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. With consent, I'd like to take proposal 82 and 83 together, please. Consent. Thank you. Proposal number 82, 2022, appoints Curtis Bigsby to the Emergency Services Agency Board. And proposal number 83 appoints Danielle Smith to the Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. Both passed out of committee with votes 11-0. Mr. President, I so move. Second.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is introduction of proposals. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal numbers 84 through 89 refer to the Administration and Finance Committee and were introduced by Councilor Mascari. Proposal number 84 approves the mayor's appointment of John C. Kraus as hearing officer to preside over the administrative adjudication of parking citations. Proposal number 85 approves appropriations and transfers totaling $86,784,620 from various city-county funds for use by various city-county departments, agencies, transferring $71,856,000 of existing appropriations among characters and appropriating $14,928,620 of federal and local grant awards not previously appropriated, and ratifies a transfer between departments in the Federal Grants Fund for purposes of COVID-19 emergency response. Proposal number 86 approves an additional appropriation totaling $650,000 in the 2022 budget of the Information Services Agency Information Services Fund to finance unforeseen additional costs in the implementation of the enterprise-wide phone system upgrade. Proposal number 87 reestablishes the City Cumulative Capital Development Fund for Indianapolis Consolidated City pursuant to IC 36-9-15.5. Proposal number 88 reestablishes the County Cumulative Capital Development Fund for Marion County pursuant to IC 36-9-14.5. Proposal number 89 authorizes the city controller to take necessary steps to allow for a matching contribution to be made by the city county to the accounts of all city county employees who participate in the Indiana Deferred Compensation Plan. Proposal numbers 90 through 95 were referred to the Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Proposal number 90, introduced by Councilor Mascari, appoints Nick Baxter to the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District Board. Proposal number 91, introduced by Councilor Lewis, approves additional appropriations totaling $5,540,000 in the 2022 budget of the Department of Metropolitan Development, Consolidated County General, Redevelopment General, and federal grant funds to finance contractual services, land acquisition, and grant eligible personnel costs. Proposal number 92, introduced by Councilor Osley, approves the declaratory resolution of the Metropolitan Development Commission, which established the King Cole Economic Development Area and approved a development plan for said area, establishing a new allocation area to allow 25-year tax increment bond financing for the proposed Moto Hotel project, which is located in the proposed allocation area. Proposal number 93, introduced by Councilor Bain, approves the statement of benefit of Archimed LLC, an applicant for tax abatement for property located in an economic revitalization area. Proposal number 94, introduced by Councilor Boots, approves the statement of benefits of City Mark Management Company, Inc., and 96th Street Developers LLC, an applicant for tax abatement for property located in an economic revitalization area. Proposal number 95, introduced by Councilor Potts, approves the statement of benefits of Gershman Partners, an applicant for tax abatement for property located in an economic revitalization area. Proposal numbers 96 and 97 refer to the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee and were introduced by Councilor Robinson. Proposal number 96 approves certain public purpose grants totaling $180,000 from the Drug Free Community Fund. Proposal number 97 determines the need for the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department to lease approximately 44,734 square feet of office space at 4140 North Keystone Avenue. Proposal numbers 98 through 102 refer to the Public Works Committee. Proposal number 98, introduced by Councilor Potts, authorizes no turn-on red restrictions at Westfield Boulevard and YMC Access Drive in District 2. Proposal number 99, introduced by Councilor Adamson, authorizes no turn-on red restrictions at Arsenal Avenue and Michigan Street in District 17. Proposal number 100, introduced by Councilor Adamson, authorizes no turn-on red restrictions at Michigan Street and East Street in District 17. Proposal number 101, introduced by Councilor Adamson, authorizes no turn-on red restrictions at Massachusetts Avenue and Valley Avenue in District 17. Proposal number 102, introduced by Councilor Adamson, amends various sections of the code concerning drainage and stormwater management with technical corrections and updates as required by regulations of the Environmental Protection Agency and the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. Proposal number 103, introduced by Councilor Mascari, referred to the Administration and Finance Committee, authorizes the city controller to make changes to the salary clarification schedule governing city and county employees to allow for premium pays in order to recruit and retain staff for crucial functions. Proposal number 118, introduced by Councilor Robinson, referred to the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee, reconfirms the Marion County Public Defender Board's nomination of Robert J. Hill as the Chief Marion County Public Defender. Proposal number 124, introduced by Councilor Osley, referred to the Parks and Recreation Committee, reappoints T. Carlos Simpson to the Indianapolis Greenways Development Committee. Mr. President, this concludes the introductions.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on our agenda is Special Orders Priority Business. Proposal numbers 106 through 117 and 119 through 122, 2022 are all rezonings that were certified to the Council for approval by the Metropolitan Development Commission in February. If no councilor wishes to call down any of these proposals for reconsideration, they will pass into law. Does anyone wish to call down any of the proposals for reconsideration? All right, seeing none, proposal numbers 106 through 117 and 119 through 122, 2022 will now pass into law. The next item on our agenda is public hearing. And before we open the floor to public comments, I would like to call on General Counsel Kim to review the ground rules for public testimony as adopted by this body. Ms. Kim.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we move to the public comment portion of debate for these proposals, we would like to remind council members and the public of a few ground rules. So everyone can have a fair chance to speak and be heard, it is important that we each observe the following rules. First, each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. Second, Any public comments must reasonably relate to the agenda item under consideration. Third, speakers who stray from the item under consideration or become unduly repetitious may be asked to move on to their next point or conclude their comments. Finally, attendees who cause disruptions that prevent the council from proceeding through tonight's agenda in a reasonably efficient manner will be removed. Please remember that some types of threatening speech or incitement to violence are not protected by the First Amendment at all. We will deal with those issues if they come up, but we don't think they will. And now, Mr. President, if a council member asks for consent to adopt these rules, we can proceed to public comments at the appropriate time.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Council Kim. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 7, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 7 approves the 2022 budget of the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District. A presentation was made making the key points. The Economic Improvement District encompasses Fountain Square, Fletcher Place, and North Square neighborhoods. A main accomplishment for the group for 2021 was a listing Lakato Group to create a master plan intended to drive investment for property owners. A key finding of the master plan resulted in renaming the district, supported by the Area Business Association, to Fountain Fletcher District Association. Councilor Jackson moved and seconded by Councilor Evans to send proposal number 7 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right. Seeing none, is there anyone in the room who would like to comment on proposal number 7? All right, seeing no one, let us then, unless there are any additional comments or any comments from councilors. All right, seeing none, let us then proceed to the board for our vote. All right, the motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 8, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 8 approves the 2022 budget of the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District. A presentation was made making the following key points. The EID is in a place to support historic infrastructure such as fountains, statues, public art, historic buildings, and specialty fences and tree canopies. The EID funded approximately $114,000 worth of projects, including installing an HVAC system in the town hall, replacing LED lights, and a routine fountain maintenance. Councilor Jackson moves, seconded by Councilor Evans, to send proposal number 8 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, is there anyone in the room who would like to speak to proposal number 8? All right, seeing none, let us then proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 24-0. There is no business under special orders, unfinished business. So we'll now proceed to special orders final adoption. And this next item on our agenda is proposal number 51, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 51 approves the amounts, locations, operations of certain projects to be funded by the Community Development Grant Funds. Jenny Foltz, Administrator of the Community Investments with DMD, gave a presentation making the following key points. Federal funds are dispersed from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. The Department of Housing and Urban Development requires creation of a consolidated plan, including housing data and community input. DMD current consolidated plan is valid from 2020 through 2024, and it has identified 3 priorities in the areas of sustainable neighborhoods, inclusive neighborhoods, and promising neighborhoods. Goals include improving food access, affordable housing, and rapid rehousing for people experiencing homelessness. Funding sources include the CDBG dollars, home dollars, emergency solutions, ESG, housing opportunities for persons with AIDS, HOPWA. Some of the accomplishments in the first year of the program includes 44 new affordable rental units, 56 new homeowner opportunities, rapid rehouse 348 households, and then they also leveraged an additional $52.8 million. Councilor McCormick stated that she had echoed Councilor Evans' thoughts and concerns regarding 3 townships not being represented in the grant process. Speaking specifically about the West Side, Councilor Evans moved and seconded by Councilor Maurer to send proposal number 51 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 9-0-2 with Councilors Brown and Jackson abstaining. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Chairwoman Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I need to abstain tonight for perceived conflict of interest.
Thank you very much. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too need to abstain from tonight's vote since I work in housing.
Very good. Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22 yeas and 2 abstentions. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 52, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 52 approves expenditures of $750,000 from the Community Revitalization Enhancement District Industrial Development Fund, CREED, for the calendar year 2022 for the use within the Lafayette Square Community Revitalization District. Mr. Hunt and Mary Clark, Executive Director of the International Marketplace Coalition, made a presentation making the following key points. During the COVID pandemic, the International Marketplace only lost 4 restaurants and opened 8 restaurants, 2 grocery stores, and 4 nutritional shops, and 2 furniture stores. The Global Village Welcome Center requests the funds for facility of renovations, restroom expansions, and other improvements. The funds would be direct allocation to prepare the building to receive more guests, which they anticipate within the Global Village Welcome Center. Councilman McCormick moves, seconded by Councilor Jackson, to send proposal number 52 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 11-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, let us proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 53, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. With consent, I would like to take proposal number 53 and 54 together.
Consent.
Thank you. Proposal number 53 authorizes the removal of property from the consolidated downtown allocation area and creation of the Indy Innovation Apartments LLC allocation area. Proposal number 54 approves the issuance of a developer-backed tax increment finance TIF bonds in the amount not to exceed $12,500,000 for the proposed Indy Innovation Apartments, a new mixed-use development including multifamily housing facility, commercial retail space in the previous established 16 Tech Innovation District, now in the proposed separate allocation area to be known as the Indy Innovation Apartments LLC Economic Development Area, located at 1350 Waterway Boulevard. A brief presentation was made regarding the proposal. The development will be a 4 to 5 story building with 279 units, retail space, and 290 parking spaces. There will be a public courtyard and live work units to open to the outdoors. 5% of the affordability commitment, community engagement commitment, community investment fund, and several other commitments. Counselor Evans moved and seconded by Counselor Brown to send proposal number 54 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 11 to 0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Chairman Gray.
What property was removed from the consolidated downtown?
Do we have someone from DMD to explain?
Mr. President, excuse me, Mr. President, members of the council, Rusty Carr, Deputy Director for DMD. So this was a single parcel that was vacant. It was lifted out of the allocation area and then reset to allow a 25-year financing for the project.
It's on the same location?
Same location, yeah.
Very good. Additional comments or questions from councilors? Seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 24 to 0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 55, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. With consent, I would like to take proposal number 55 and 56 together. Consent. Thank you. Proposal number 55 establishes the Stutz Economic Development and Allocation Area to allow tax increment bond financing for Stutz 1 mixed-use redevelopment project located at 1060 North Capitol Avenue, District 11, which will include retail, dining space, co-working space, and event space, fitness, and lifestyle space. Proposal number 56 approves the issuance of a developer-backed tax increment financing TIF bonds in the amount not to exceed $12 million for the proposed Stutz factory building for the proposed Stutz factory building redevelopment, mixed-use development, including retail, dining space, co-working space, event space, fitness, located at 1060 North Capitol, District 11. A presentation was made making the following key points. Samora, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Samara Road specializes in adaptive reuse of historic building. They acquired the Stutz building in February 2021. The proposed construction timeline is 2022 through 2025. They plan to invest $26 million in improvements, $15 million in workplace modernization. They own adjacent properties and plan to create a walkable neighborhood in a later phase of the development after the Stutz. Councilor McCormick moves, seconded by Councilor Evans, to send proposal number 55, 56 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 9 to 2. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Boots.
Thank you, Mr. President. For professional conflict reasons, I must abstain from both 55 and 56.
Very good. Thank you very much. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just curious, who were the two nay votes, and if they could maybe share why they voted?
That was left out of my minutes. That's why I stumbled there. I just know there was two that didn't vote for it.
Maybe
Mr. President, if I may.
Is that you? Yeah. Yes. Councilor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Yes, Vice President Adamson, myself and Councilor Hart were the two that cast votes against. We did give reasoning in the committee hearing as well. Be happy to recap here. One of the big things is that, I looked at is that you got into this project and you got into this property, you should have had a good idea of what it was going to take to build this back up, and to purchase it and then come to the city and ask for us to put this on the backs of the taxpayers just doesn't seem right to me. If you're going to undergo this project, I think it should be something you do yourself, and we don't look for the taxpayers to help out. And Councilor Hart, if you want to go ahead and, with Mr. President, if he may.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Hart.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. So, I had a pretty good back and forth dialogue with the gentleman that was representing this development. And before the meeting, I had just refreshed myself with the Indiana code, which there's a clause in there when it comes to tax increment financing that the developer has to fit within a certain guidelines. And that guideline is called a but-for clause, that they could develop but-for without the use of the TIF, then they basically, if they couldn't develop without the TIF, then they qualify. When I talked to this gentleman, he basically told me that, I asked him, what happens if you don't get the TIF? And he said, well, there's two things. One, we give it a Band-Aid approach to where, we piece it together, or two, we breathe new life into the building. But either way, they still planned on putting money and developing in. If they received the TIF, it would be breathing new life. If they didn't receive the TIF, it was still developing, but not as much. So from my understanding of the code and the but-for clause, that disqualified them from being eligible for the TIF. And so therefore, I had to vote no. Beyond that, it was a bit out of order as well for me. There was two other, there was one other, there was an abatement and a TIF that night as well, that both Leader Mowry and I were in favor of. When they had came to us before they had begun development, they had purchased some parcels of land with the intent to develop, but hadn't actually started building a structure yet. And to agree with Councilor Mowry, the developers with the Stutz building sure knew what they were getting into when they had purchased a building the size of a city block and some other, parking to go along with it. So to me, it looked like it was an afterthought, and one that they primarily didn't qualify under the but-for clause. So therefore, I made the decision on behalf of my constituents and District 18 and the body at the time against voting in favor of this TIF.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor. Chairman Gray.
Mr. President, was this part of the original blueprint, or is this an addition to the blueprint?
We'll ask someone from DMD to be able to come forward and to be able to address your question.
Mr. President, Rusty Carr, again with DMD. The first phase of the project would just be a capital renovation and a full redevelopment of the current Stutz 1 building, so not an addition of a footprint.
Okay. Additional comments or questions from councilors? Councilor Ethan Evans.
Thank you, President. Sorry, can't remember. DMD could come back up here for just a second. Had a question about the original renovation, if that information is available from the 90s. Do you happen to know if when that renovation was done back then, the TIF financing or tax abatement was used at the time?
I do not know the answer to that question.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Additional comments, questions from councilors? Chairman Gray.
I think when they did the renovation to the Stutz building originally, we hadn't established TIF districts at that time.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Comments, questions? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 18 to 6. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, Councilor Boots, are you having a problem with with? Very good.
Councilor Boots, I have it. I just need you to not press the button anymore.
Okay. The motion carries 17 yeas, 6 nays, and 1 abstention. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 57, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 57 approves a statement of benefits of Stanley LLC, an applicant of tax abatement for property located in the economic revitalization area. Kevin Mahoney, Vice President of Moto Properties, and Dan Fair, Partner and Vice President of Holiday Properties, gave a PowerPoint presentation making the following key points. Moto Properties is a nationwide privately held company that specializes in acquisition and redevelopment of Class A industrial properties. They have a strong Midwest presence. This potential development would be their third in Indianapolis, all in the Ameriplex Business Park. Some of their previous projects were built on the spec basis as well. Both now have 2 full-time tenants, Forward Air and Progressics, I apologize, I'm not sure what the word that was supposed to be, on the south lot, and IDS and FedEx east lot. Spec development has driven the market growth and supported expanding businesses. This project will create 25 new jobs with an average pay of $18 an hour. The building would hold 3 tenants, likely from a life science pharmaceutical industry. Councilor Jones moved and seconded by Councilor Brown to amend the proposal. The proposal passed out of committee, and I do not, Madam Clerk, you're going to have to help me. I'm missing a section of my minutes. It passed out of committee by a vote of
11-0.
11-4. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Chairman Gray.
Is there an address listed for this revitalization zone? Where is it located?
Ameriplex.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't really understand, but
address.
if you are asking for the address, I believe it is in the 5400 block of Stanley Road, which is in Ameriplex. Well, you might want to double check the address, but it is in Ameriplex.
Just for the record, then, let me ask Mr. Carr to come forward. Perhaps he can give us the exact address.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rusty Carr, again, Deputy Director at DMD, 5405, a.k.a. 5501 Stanley Road.
That's Ameriplex, yeah?
Yes, correct, in Ameriplex.
Yep. Mr. President, also, the proposal passed, the amendment passed by a vote of 11-0. I just want to make sure we get the vote count correct.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 58, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Chairman Mascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 58 was heard on February 22nd, 22. It mandates the city departments provide the council with annual accountability reporting the expenditure of the American Rescue Plan. This passed out of committee 12-0. I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor, if that's all right, with the original sponsors.
Very good. Thank you. Councilor Ney.
Mr. President, I would like to be added a co-sponsor as well, if it's okay with the original author.
Very good. Thank you. Councilor Boots.
Thank you, Mr. President. I speak this evening in support of and as co-sponsor of Proposal 58 because I think it's simply sound public policy to oversee in a supportive role the spending and allocation of these significant ARP funds. $420 million, to my knowledge, is the single largest influx of short-term funding from the United States government this city has ever seen in its history. I stand alongside Councilor Hart, Barth, Bain, Adamson, Ane, now in bipartisan support of this proposal. Councilor Hart and I are the council's appointed representatives on the City-County Audit Committee, which oversees the Office of Audit and Performance. The mission of the AOP, as you may know, is to evaluate city-county operations to promote accountability and efficiency in the pursuit of a high-performing government for the citizens of Indianapolis. The AOP reviews various agencies, policies, and practices and suggests ways for improvement. The AOP conducts these various city-county audits to promote accountability in our city government. And it is in this spirit that I urge you to support this proposal to, in turn, promote the public's faith in its own city-county government, which includes every member of this council sitting here this evening. This council's Proposal 286, passed last September in 2021, established the ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Subfund of the Federal Stimulus Coronavirus Pandemic Fund to receive the first round of approximately $210 million in ARP funds. That fund is the vehicle through which this ARP money will flow. OPHS had initially agreed, even prior to this proposal taking shape, to report annually to the full council the status of its operations. I believe merely an annual report, while helpful and greatly appreciated, is insufficient oversight for this historic opportunity, and more importantly, this historic responsibility. Under Proposal 58, the Mayor's Office will be presenting, per Section 1, at least an annual report to the full council explaining the data and metrics demonstrating progress in accomplishing the set priorities related to the spending of the ARP funds. My understanding is that the administration's intent, as we have seen already, is to provide such updates on a more frequent basis, and I commend them for that commitment. Section 2 obligates each city-county agency receiving ARP funds to present quarterly reports to assigned council committees at the discretion of the committee chairperson. My hope is that our committee chairs will indeed request such reports to keep our council's finger on the pulse of the expenditure of these critical funds. For at least these reasons, I encourage each council member here this evening to pass Proposal 58 out of this council and onto the mayor for his signature. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Jared Evans.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good thing I'm not following up with any remarks behind Councilor Boots, other than to be asked to be a sponsor as a part of this.
Very good. Thank you. Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mr. President. With permission, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor as well.
Very good. Additional comments from councilors? Yeah, Councilor Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll keep it brief because there's no way to follow up Councilor Boots on that one either. And I appreciate the words said, and I share every same sentiment with everything you're saying. To me, the bottom line is we got a lot of opportunities to do a lot of great things for the people of Indianapolis with these dollars. And ultimately, I just want to make sure that we get the most out of it. We see what works, and we find what that is, and then we can eventually make that operational in the future. So that's ultimately the goal, and to make sure we get that outcome. So thank you for all that's co-sponsored, and let's move forward and see some reporting, as fun as that sounds.
Very good. Councilor Ethan Evans.
I would just like to also be added as a co-sponsor as well.
Very good. Thank you. Additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, let's proceed to the board for a vote. The motion carries 24-0. There is no business under special service district councils. There is no business under new business. So the next item on our agenda is announcements and adjournment. The docketed agenda for this meeting of council having been completed, the chair will now entertain motions for adjournment.
Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Councilor Maury.
Mr. President, I have been asked to offer the following motion for adjournment by Councilor Maury, and Elevon Storms by Counselor Muscari in memory of John Ciriello and Kimberly Sturm, by Counselor Lewis in memory of Dolores Blaine, by Counselor Osley in memory of Bennett Johnson and Ed Tipton. Mr. President, I would like to move the adjournment of this meeting of the Indianapolis City County Council in recognition of and the respect for the life and contributions of those persons I have here specifically named. I respectfully ask the support of fellow councilors. I further request that the motion be made part of the permanent records of this body, and that a letter bearing the council seal and a signature of the president be sent to the family of each person advising of this action.
Thank you, Councilor Mowry. Hearing no objections, the motion is received and requests are so ordered. Hearing no further motions, we're adjourned. Thank you.